Alright, so starting the new show, welcome everyone to the Ghost Rider Vlog. So starting it off, we're going to do a very brief history as quickly as possible about Ghost Rider, and then we'll go into today's comic. Ghost Rider would start in 1972, and the original run of it would run until 1983, making Ghost Rider run for about 3/4 or more of the original Bronze Age of comic books. The Bronze Age was more or less like the Silver Age in its colorfulness and some of its silly notions, but at the same time would start to garner more serious things to talk about and also more real-world events to include during their storylines, such as wars, talks about alcoholism, drug abuse, and so forth. The original creators for Ghost Rider would be Gary Friedrich, who was best known for Silver Age stories, Roy Thomas, who would be the next editor-in-chief after Stan Lee stepped down and continued to do other things for the company, and Mike Plug, who was best known for other creations besides Ghost Rider, including Man-Thing and Monster Frankenstein, which means he's had quite a prolific history already by this point with horror-themed comic books, this being probably one of his first superhero horror-themed comic books, I would assume. So with the creator background out of the way, talking a little bit about how Ghost Rider actually got started, which was through the Marvel Spotlight series. Essentially what Marvel Spotlight would do is that they would bring on new hero ideas and try them out for, like, say, 5 issues or so. Ghost Rider himself was actually issue number 5 of Marvel Spotlight, and would run for a couple more issues to test the water and see how the reaction was to the character. So speaking of which, we're going to have a look at the cover here. And I have to say, that's a pretty fantastic cover. We got a bunch of, like, gang-looking guys shooting guns, other guys dodging out of the way, Ghost Rider on the bike just charging right through them all with fire everywhere. Let's see here. Is he alive or dead? A legend is born. The most supernatural superhero of all. Some catchy stuff going on there. Some nice text, very interesting little image that's sort of framed just right. It even has a little border around it too, just to add the effect of trying to get in the right position. So basic plot synopsis for this first story is that it's a setup, first of all, to show us a little bit of action, and then the background of how Johnny Blaze became Ghost Rider. The action setup is that he's the Ghost Rider in the middle of the night, and as he's traversing down the streets in a city, some thugs who killed somebody spot him as he's driving by and decide to chase after him. The weather was rainy at the time, so the streets are very slick, and it's kind of hard to get the bike around easily. The thugs catch up to him and are planning to kill him until he shoots hellfire, literally it is called hellfire, from his fingertips and makes a fire barrier between the two, between himself and the thugs. He then uses a small nearby plank of wood to drive up and escape the thugs and continue to ride off into the night. Getting back to his, I guess you would call it his dressing room, showroom, or something, to wait until that he's and he's going there to wait until he has to have his show that night. As he's trying to relax to prepare for the show that night, he then recalls everything that led up to this point. That includes the fact that his mother had gone missing many years ago. Something that we don't add on to it until later, though, is the fact that he had siblings, but that will come into effect in the second run in the 80s, and that'll be a bit of background information as well. However, he was with his father for a very long period of time, And while traveling with his father, he found out through other, you might say, carnival goers, carnival hands and so forth, other people who ran like rides and stuff at the carnivals that they did the bike shows at. He would learn a little bit about Satan worship from others, and then he would actually continue to study it in his free time. However, his main true passion has always been stunt riding like his father. And sadly, his father did pass away doing a stunt. His father was actually partners with another man named Crash, and he would continue on the show and also had a daughter of his own. To which, when Johnny Blaze's father died, he was adopted by Crash's family, more or less to be a son, and was cared for by the family. And he would actually finally join the bike show again after a number of years. However, he would put that to an end after a accident which caused him to have to crash land a bike, which then would explode and injure his adopted mother. On her deathbed, she would ask that Johnny would never be a part of the show ever again, which he did continue to do for a number of years afterwards. However, as Crash is finally reaching the point that he can actually fill in entire stadiums for his stunt show, he's also about to attempt his biggest stunt at the same time that he found out that he has cancer, or dying of it, or dying of something of the like of cancer. To this, Johnny has one idea only, and that's to use his second passion in his life of study and call upon Satan, which any smart person knows is a really bad idea, but he does it anyways because he doesn't want to see his father dying. But instead of dying of the cancer like he was supposed to by the time the big stunt show was supposed to go on, he instead makes an impossible stunt for him to finish, dies trying to attempt it, to which, in a fit of passion, Johnny decides to go and do the stunt as well, and this time succeeds. However, it's very of little solace. However, the cheers and screams of the fans are of little consolation to Johnny when Roxanne, the girlfriend slash adopted stepsister of Johnny's, is obviously very angry at Johnny for doing this and also almost carelessly throwing away his life, walks off and says that she wants nothing to do with him anymore. Alone, he is again unwelcomely greeted by Satan, who wishes to finally take his soul. Satan's plan, or actually Mephisto, as he would be later known as in the franchise, Mephisto's major plan is to take Johnny into hell with him during the day, and at night he would be an emissary of Mephisto's. But as he is starting to release this curse onto Johnny, Roxanne walks in yet again. She apparently had also been reading up on what Johnny had been studying on the side, and she also knew that Satan's major weakness was to have someone with a pure heart protect the person that he was after, to which Satan has to flee the room, not unlike, as Roxanne herself even states, not unlike a cross to a vampire, and has to back off instantly. However, this does not mean that Johnny's getting away scot-free. Part of the curse had already been activated, which is that at night he will become, quote-unquote, an emissary of Mephisto's, to which he becomes the Ghost Rider at night, and is cursed to constantly have to struggle for survival, as well as to try and keep his identity secret, at least at first. He continues to run away from people all night, every night, whenever he changes into the Rider, and continues to do all of his stunt work during the day, which apparently he's still plenty active during the day, so switching between the forms while straining after the transformation does not tire him as if he was awake the entire time. I do believe technically the soul of a demon has been essentially latched on to Johnny, which might explain why he can change like this and still retain the energy he needs for the normal daily work. And that, in short, is our book for today. This is, again, Spotlight number 5, Ghost Rider. And that is more or less the setup for how the Ghost Rider gets started. So, a good thing about this book, art is very nice. It's a little clean in spots, but the artwork is definitely there. You can definitely get a good feel for what the Ghost Rider is supposed to look like. There's some decent backgrounds. The coloring is really nice, and while not overly fantastic, it does its job well without degrading the ink work that was put on top of it first. Bad thing, though, it does get a bit wordy. And there are a few lines here and there I would probably take back to the editing board. But overall feel, I think, for a closer is that while it does get a little bit wordy, the artwork alone will keep you interested, and it is a nice little setup here, and they don't delve too much into any new villains, at least right away, other than Mephisto himself. So, a rating, I have to agree with Tolbiscuit. I don't care much for number ratings. Number ratings mean nothing, to be honest. If you are interested in whether or not the first book is any good at all, I would say it's a recommended read, especially if you're going to get into the Ghost Rider mythos at all. If you can stand to read this book, you're going to do fine for the rest of the run as far as I'm concerned. So, that's our first book. Thank you all for watching. I will see you all in the next vlog, which I'm also recording tonight because, yeah, I need to start producing these videos as of tomorrow. See you all then.